Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, introducing my rattle. So this is the story of the rattle. And, okay, so for some time now, well, about a month, I've been feeling the need to interject a little more ceremony or ritual into my readings. And was actually, this was suggested by one of my shaman oracle cards, not directly, but as I was contemplating it, and actually for longer than that, I've had a yearning for a rattle. Can't explain it. It's just something that I've been wanting, and particularly a gourd rattle, which is what this is. And not too long ago, and I think what suggested the rattles to me is that we have an annual Christmas craft fair where I live, and one of the crafts that's there is gourd, the gourd art, and sometimes they have rattles. And so I was really attracted to the rattles, but you know, Christmas time, I'm not buying for myself, I'm buying for other people, and so I just kind of ignored that inclination, that interest. And recently it became a little bit more acute, and so I looked up one of the gals. Actually, I tried to go to the craft fair because they used to do it only at Christmas time for a month, and then they decided to open it to try to do it year round, and it was gone. So that endeavor failed, but at one point I had grabbed the card of one of the gourd artists and managed to find that, and I called that person to see if maybe it had just moved instead of simply failed, but unfortunately it had failed. And she told me that I'm in Alabama in the United States, and I guess they have an annual gourd show. There's a state association, and they have an annual gourd show in Cullman, which is only an hour from me. And so my plan was to go to this gourd show and scope out possible rattles. Look at the possible purchase of a rattle. However, fate has intervened. I went to a town that's near me that I don't usually go to, and usually when I'm going to it, I pass through it. So I was passing through it in one direction, and I noticed this one place that I'd always been curious about, and I thought, you know, I'm going to try to remember, this is always a challenge, I'm going to try to remember to swing in there on my way back. And part of the reason it's a challenge is it's on a one-way street, and so that's not where I am when I come back. But as it turns out, I did remember, and I swung in there. And it's an herb shop. It says herb shop, but it's also had something to do with Native American Cherokee tribe. So there are members of the Cherokee tribe here in this area. And so I really didn't know quite what it was, frankly. I didn't know what, if it was mainly an herb shop, it was mainly, you know, something else. I didn't know. But so I decided to check it out. So I went in there, and as it turns out, it's primarily a gathering place for members of the tribe. So, but there were a few things that were on sale, some obviously, and some I had to ask about. So there were two people in there when I went in, and they were in a discussion, and so I just kind of was looking around. And then finally I had an opportunity to converse they did the usual thing, can we help you? What are you looking for? That kind of thing. And I said, I've really been wanting a rattle. I said, I'm not native, but I've really been wanting a rattle. And, what kind of a rattle? And I said, I want a gourd rattle. That was my thing. They were told me about a couple different things. No, I want a gourd rattle. And they're like, no, gosh, the person who usually makes our rattles isn't doing it anymore, and so is sort of thinking that maybe she'll do it, she's thinking about getting into it, and, it's just like, well, all right, I was looking at some other things there. They had many marvelous dream catchers. So, there were some other things to look at as well, but so one of the people who had been conversing, a woman, started to leave. She was actually, I think, at the door, or she may even have had the door cracked, when suddenly it occurred to her that, in fact, maybe they did have something, and that, was behind the counter. And so she went back, and in this box, which I guess had recently been donated, there were 2 rattles. One being this rattle, that was a gourd rattle. The other was made from a can and had more of a tinkly sound. But I wanted this earthy, nutty kind of a sound. And that's what they did. They shook both of them. They said, no, I want that earthy sound. That's what I want. So, and then it's got these fluffies. Look at that. And this funny little, which to me is just incredibly humorous. I'm sure that there's probably something that is non-humorous in relation to this, but I don't care. It's just funny. For some reason, it makes me think of Sesame Street Muppet. So to me, this rattle has a lot of charisma. So, it's almost more than I could have hoped for. And they, so I stepped back and I said, you guys think about it. I'm gonna wander and look at some other things and let you put a price on it. And they put a very reasonable price on it. So now it's my rattle. So I feel like it's very much meant to be. The gourd itself is not super fancy exciting, but it's got a lot of wonderful frills, and it's got exactly the sound I was thinking, the sound that was in my head. So expect, I don't know that you'll hear this or see this rattle, but expect to hear it at the beginning probably of my readings. I don't know if it will be I don't know if I'll also close with the rattle. I would rather close with my lovely little bell, which I've never introduced. It's a basic bell. It didn't have, it's easy to find a bell on Amazon. Well, I won't even say it's easy, actually. Finding the right bell was a little bit tricky. Bells are just not, we have beepers now. We don't have bells. So, yeah, this is the introduction of the rattle. The rattle that you will hear in future readings on my site, and I'm coming up with something that I intend to say, but I'm not going to do that now. You'll have to catch my readings for that. Alright, so that's it. I just wanted to introduce the rattle, give the lovely story of the rattle that makes, to me, it was like, yeah, this was meant to be. This was meant to be. This is my rattle. Alright. I hope you enjoyed this. Take care, and I will be back on track here, hopefully by the end of the day, with creative dailies, tomorrow love readings, and on with some other things that I will be doing on my website. So yeah, I'm back and with a rattle. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.